Pierre is in for Arsenal. With bergkamp. That's magnificent. Tripped it away from Henry. And it's it's time to go!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Claude and the BANSTAS. Hope everybody's well. I've got a fantastic guest with us today. He's not a guest. He's one of our own. It's the man himself, Kenny Ken. How you doing, Ken? Hope you're well, mate.
Well, like I said 2 weeks ago, last time I saw you, we were like crying on each other's shoulders. We were desperately disappointed. A cold light of day, we thought there was a mistrick in terms of like how England, missed an opportunity against the Italians. Congratulations to the Italians. Still saying that 2 weeks later. But, one door shuts, which is the Euros, and then we have to get back to the Arsenal news because I know there's been a lot of talks, a lot of speculation. Something concrete's happened this week. Also, it seems, and it's 80% sure that we're going to be getting another acquisition for £50 million, which is a very massive sign for the football club. But, it's divided opinion because I think, maybe fans believe that if we sign one big signing, that's it. We won't make any signings, and I'm optimistic to think that there'll be other incomings.
Yeah, I definitely think there will. Just before we get into it, Ken, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's in the chat. We've got Oregon Gooner. Hope you're well, mate. James Dunlop, AJ Bayer. Hope you're well, mate. Hope the family's well. Who else we got in the chat? We've got Max. Hope you're good, mate. David Dundas. Hope you're well, mate. Excuse me. Who else we got? We have got Omar. Hope you're good, mate. Good to see you again. Who else? Have we got anyone else? SA Forza is in the chat. Did I say? I think I said James. James, big yourself up, mate. Seamus, hope you're well. Who else we got? Jordan Jones. Hello, mate. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're well. Alan Attic, hope you're well. M Fox, David P, Lone Star. Hope you're all good. Mike England. I think I've more or less got Pepsi Pack. Hope you're all well. Thank you very much for joining us. Michael Balzan, Mitchell O'Hara, GT Playboy, Jake, Declan. Thank you very much for all joining us. As we said, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. I just want to apologise first. Obviously, myself and Diesel have been very, very busy over the last couple of weeks. I've been working night and day at the moment. I had some work come up during the day. So you've got to take the money when you can sometimes. But unfortunately, on Friday, my youngest daughter has got COVID-19. So now I'm isolating with my family for 10 days. So I won't be at work next week. So there'll be a lot more content next week to keep my mind sane, obviously. And I'm just hoping that, obviously, at the moment, my daughter's only got mild symptoms. And I just hope that, obviously, myself, my wife and my two other children are safe from it too. And if we do get it, it's only mild symptoms. But I know that there's a lot of people out there that's got it, a lot of people on Twitter that's got it and saying that their mums and dads who's been double jabbed as in a bad way in intensive care. I know our good friend Lee Chappie is going through it at the moment. He doesn't know if he's got the COVID-19, but he's in a very bad way. Our thoughts and prayers are going out to you, Lee, and everyone else. Hope everyone stays safe. And, as I said, I will be doing a lot more content. But enough of that. Let's get straight down to it. Let's start off, as Kenny said, there's a load to talk about. But let's start off with, obviously, the pre-season game yesterday. Arsenal didn't go to America for the same reasons what I just said. There was a few COVID-19 cases in the camp, Kenny. And what we did is we had a behind the closed doors game against Millwall, and Arsenal won 4-1. Ken, what's your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, the thing is, I think with these pre-season games, you've got to take it for what it is. It's all about, getting, us ready for the game against Brentford in 3 weeks' time. And, and I think what's happening is that result isn't important. It is important to certain people, but I think what's happening, right, is that, it does create a bit of talking points. It talks about formations going forward, but really and truly, you have to see it as a fitness thing. I think the pre-season games are for fans who don't usually get to watch Arsenal live and miss their Arsenal. So what's happening is that they will chuck a mental if results don't go our way, performances don't go our way like they did in Scotland, and or if things go well, they start raving about a player. But you've got to see it for what it is, because really and truly, the players that you're going to see at pre-season are not going to be playing in the first game of the season. Obviously, there's people talking about Bellerin coming through, so I suppose that brings some sort of interest to the players. Obviously, Pepe as well. He's had a full pre-season. His second full pre-season, and he had a good finish to the football season, a calendar year. So again, you want him to continue his good progress. But saying that, I haven't taken anything from these pre-season games. I don't take that a single thing. You know what I mean? I haven't. All I'm interested in is fitness. No serious injuries. Coutinho came back a bit early. I would have liked him to get more rest because I think it's a long season. I'm glad that Tavares has been able to get games in Tierney's absence. So again, it's fitness. All I'm interested in is fitness. Other fans may, take it very seriously, but let's face it, the real football starts on the 13th at 8 o'clock in West London.
No, I totally agree with you, Ken. Listen, at the end of the day, a friend is a friendly. It's there for a reason, just for match fitness. Like you said, get minutes on the pitch, starting to get ready for the big kickoff. Get some of the new players in that we've got, give them minutes bedding with their players. Obviously, there's still a few players out because they went quite far in the Euros. So they're just trickling back in at the moment. I totally agree with you. These friendly games is nothing to be worried about whatsoever, in my eyes anyway. I can't believe it when we lost to Hibernian, the meltdown on Twitter, I must say, because we lost the pre-season, and the Arteta rats obviously was in full force. They was in full force and saying, blah, 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 this. What are we doing with Arteta? And listen, I know. Look, what I'm trying to say is, Ken, I know that people don't want Arteta here. They don't want him here. They didn't want him here in the first place, and blah, blah. But come on, to say that just because we lost in a friendly game, that's taking it a bit too far, don't you think?
Well, the thing about it is that, to be honest, who might have a go at them? I'm not talking about criticism of Arteta. Is that I've been banging the drum for fans to treat every Arsenal game like it's a life and death. I want fans to set high standards for the football club, because as far as I'm concerned, Kroenke works for me, Arteta works for me, and the players work for me. So me, as the Arsenal fan, should be setting those standards. So it's going to be very difficult for me to complain about any meltdown after any performances, because that's what I've been crying out for. I don't particularly like the philosophical attitude that we have with a lot of Arsenal fans, in terms of they have this it's just taking part. And I feel that there's a lot of Arsenal fans who, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to say this anyway, one thing I don't like about certain Arsenal fans and certain podcasts, kinsmanship. I can't stand kinsmanship. Kinsmanship is basically, because when you perform acts of kinsmanship, it means you exclude other people. It means you have a particular audience where everyone gets along, and that you don't want to upset that audience, because that's so. If someone wants to have frank conversation like me and you do, that's not allowed. Also, what I talk about kinsmanship as well is I generally believe that there's some Arsenal fans who genuinely go to the match just to meet up with each other. Us winning, losing, or drawing, which I see a draw as a loss. If that's philosophical. It's like they just want to go there, go for a nice little chat with their people in their WhatsApp groups, or people they follow on Twitter, and that's it. Well, sorry, Arsenal Football Club is more important than my kids, my wife, my mum, my brother, my cousin, everything, because I want to win. And I think so. I'm not going to complain about a meltdown, but let's be realistic. if I was to show empathy for your opinion, which I do, how many of those players that play against Birmingham, the Rangers, and played yesterday behind closed doors against Millwall are going to be playing the first game of the season? In fact, some of the players that are going to play in the first game of the season may not play in our next game against Norwich after the international break, because I think Arsenal can may use every hour, every minute, and every day of the transfer market in order to see if they can get more players through. So again, I fully empathise what you're saying, and I get it, but I want higher standards. I want fans to treat every defeat like a funeral procession down the Holloway Road.
No, I get where you're coming from, and I totally agree with what you said in that statement, Ken, and that is that some podcasts only go one way, and they won't have people on if it's against their rules.
It's kidsmanship. It's kidsmanship,
exactly.
and it's blatant, and blatant, and they seem to be more interested in actually being a sane voice and being a good little Arsenal fan, and don't want to upset anyone. And I think what's happening, right, is that you actually want to see, basically, a lot of those people have got ambitions to be working in media, so they use their platforms in order to get work in the media. So they don't want to upset no one, as far as I'm concerned. And I've heard one guy went on a podcast or two-hander and started saying about why would the chairman, if the chairman wants dialogue, why don't let us get shares? Well, sorry. That means if you get shares, that means you're more important than every Arsenal fan. Your job is not to get shares in a football club over club interest. Your job is to be like every other fan and demand that we get the best players available, that we get the best manager available, and that our results and our standards are high. Not to tell all your mates about how you sat at a table with Stan Kroenke or Josh and how you went to dinner for them. Sorry. Enough of that crap. I don't want any confusion or any self-interest. I want one man who owns the football club, and then that one man makes decisions, and we hold that one man to account. All right? If you want to get shares in something, well, go. I'll tell you what. I'll sell you some of my British Gas shares, my BT shares. You can have them.
And just quickly, Omar, I see your comment before that. Is Diesel on holidays, living his best life at the moment, and Terry sacks Diesel for being Arteta. I love that, Omar. Unfortunately, Diesel is still on the missing list. Like I said, the last time I was on over a week ago, he's still on the missing list. We're trying to get hold of him. We're trying to get in contact with him, but he doesn't want to come on at the moment because he knows that he's going to have to face the music on what I've been saying, that we will buy players. Players will come in. We're signed 3 players since he's been on. And obviously, he doesn't want to show his face at the moment. So, but no, he's been, like I said, he's been working really hard at the moment. He's had a good weekend off, partying. So good luck to Diesel. And I'm sure he'll be back over during the next week. And don't forget, I'll be on all through the week anyway. So Diesel will definitely be back. And Omar, thanks for your comment, mate. Christopher Ward is saying, tell the people complaining about us losing the friendly are the same ones gassing up Lokonga's performance, which was in the friendly. Yeah, Chris, I understand.
Couldn't agree more. And I think that's the thing about it, is that we go from one extreme to another. We on the one hand, we're laissez-faire with our standards, but what's happening is that we're not realistic about where we are, and we're very accepting. For instance, right, is that I want us to be able to walk down the street and think, right, I'm watching Arsenal play a 6-pointer against Man United for the title, like we did in 15, nearly 20 years ago. I'm not getting that. Standards are low. But if you tell an Arsenal fan that, you're not a true Arsenal fan for saying that, where we are. And it's not a criticism on the manager. It's just where we are. It's not acceptable. It's blatantly obvious that other clubs have got stronger squads than us and better players than us. But you can't say that. You can't say that to some of these. How do I call them? And I say, I'm not pulling any punches now. I'm saying as it is. You know, we've all had a sharp shock, and we know the sharp shock we had, and you know, it's opened our eyes. You know, no more messing around, because we had a very tragic situation that affected all of us. And we thought, you know what, you know, no more messing around. So in that respect, you know, there's too many Arsenal fans who are like the playground back in school where we all agree Arsenal, Magic, and other clubs are tragic. When really and truly, let's just get our standards up. Let's stop talking bollocks about it's all great and just see it for what it is.
Well, I've been saying that for ages, Ken. You know that. You know what I mean? I've been saying that we've been going backwards for a long time. And obviously we needed to, you know, basically hit the reset button to get back where we want to be. Obviously, we all want to be back in 89 or 91. And, you know, when we went the season...
I'm not convinced fans want that. I think that we're going the same way we did in the 80s, where we were still living off the double in 1971, where we were telling all our kids about George Graham, you know, Eddie Kelly, Ray Kennedy, Frank McLean-Top picking the cup up. And we lived off that for too long. You know, whilst Liverpool and even, you know, Liverpool and even Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest and, you know, Derby afterwards, twice won the league. We lived off that, and we're doing the same thing we did with the Invincibles. We're actually having competitions with teams that have fantastic teams who won the title after us by belittling their achievements because they didn't go unbeaten. I mean, is that an argument?
Yeah, I know where you're coming from, Ken. Just going back to the comment that was saying about Lokonga, my whole problem with that is that obviously, why can't we praise him? He come on for 45 minutes. He looked good. Just because we're saying, even I did, I thought he had a good 45 minutes. Just because we're saying he has a good 45 minutes doesn't mean that means that we're automatically going to get top four or win the league. We're just pleased that a player's coming in, and for 45 minutes he looked really good. He did look good. He looked like a compliment party. Listen, we all know that my argument would be to that, Kenny, was it's all right for these people to look at Lokonga for 45 minutes and say, oh well, we've got him now. We just have to put up with him. But people that are complaining, saying, oh well, we're comparing him to Vieira and all that, they're the ones that are still bigging up Guendouzi for what he's doing over in Olympiacos with a little video with a couple of passes that he was doing. Who gives a shit what he's doing? He's not with our club anymore.
So you've got to realise, right, that, and I say it's the greatest respect to a lot of things, you've got to remember a majority of our fans don't get the opportunity to go to games. They are TV fans. A majority of our new fans that we're trying to attract are very young people. YouTube is a young person's paradise, as is other things like Twitch. It's for young people. So what's happening right now is that they're going to have a young, you know, a more enthusiastic version of standbys. Look at us back in the 80s. We were crap, but we were raving about Charlie Nicholas because simple reason he was like a massive superstar. But if you look at, you know, there were times in matches where he did do it for us. And because he did it for us occasionally, it was like very memorable. So, you know, younger fans now are like that, and we just have to accept we have to coexist with each other. And you know, but you know, until we get real success, and we maintain that success, then our standards will be a lot higher than that. But when you don't have evidence of success, you hold on to any little tidbits of good highlights that appear on your timeline.
No, look, I understand where you're coming from. I just think it's like there's just so much tit for tat, if you know what I mean. And instead of looking, we, you know, it's good, it's great for debating because we'd have a debate now, and obviously sometimes we do agree. Sometimes, honestly, me and Kenny do. It's only every now and again, but most of the time we've got different opinions, and that's what's great about it. I love that. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that just because obviously Arteta you know, are backing him and wanting good things and whatever, it doesn't mean right? It doesn't mean that automatically he's going to go and do it for us and win us the league. We're obviously hoping that he does, but it doesn't mean that we're going to do that. And it's the same vice versa. You know, for me personally, I know you do, Kenny and Diesel, and all of us on this show. We respect everybody's opinion. Do you know what I mean? So
you have to, and because if you don't, then you exclude people. You exclude people, and it becomes personal when it doesn't have to be. But you know, sometimes we're all guilty of it. I do it sometimes. You know, don't get me wrong. There are certain people last season who are bigging up Arteta, and they were making me angry. Not because they're bigging up Arteta, it's because the reasons they were giving were just taking a piss, blatantly taking a piss, and they were using every little bit of success to beat people like me with a stick. I thought that is just ridiculous. But you know, we are going to have to coexist. You know, the genie's out the bottle. You know, and I say since 2008, when we didn't win the league, when we should have won the league, where there was murmurings against Arsene, and people like myself wanted him replaced in the year after in 2009. Since that period, you know, and since a lot of people's opinions are magnified, are listened to, even people don't listen to you, then what will happen is that you are going to have a situation where that people aren't going to get on. And then you know what happens when people don't agree with everything? It becomes amicable, and then when it gets heated, it becomes personal, and that's what's happened with the fan base, you know. But you've got to realise is that you always tell me that social media and Arsenal social media only, and one woman called Claire, she told me years back, about 5 years ago, she said, look, you do know that Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it only covers 0.1% of our fan base. Like the other, 99.9 probably, unless someone shows them highlights of the fan camps, or show them a few highlights, maybe their kids, then they're not going to be involved in that. They won't care. You know, they're still going to walk past certain people who are on the fan camps, and just they're not there. Their kids might know them, but that's the thing. And I think, it's healthy when that sort of thing happens, because, at the end of the day, you can tell that a lot of people who do go to these matches wouldn't, just are not interested on in these sort of things. Not interested, and they only have Twitter for that, because it's part of their work.
Yeah, no, exactly. I totally agree with you, Evan. I'm going to bring this up because obviously there was a lot to do with this and all, which I know a lot of answers from a lot of people would be, and I will tell you the answer after I've read the thoughts out. And he said, thoughts on United 4-2 loss to QPR yesterday. Seemed like QPR are promotions contenders. Also a great day if they come up for us Gooners. All you will get is, from Arsenal fans, is it's only a friendly. Man United didn't have all their players out, and blah, blah, blah.
On the contrary, Arsenal fans are throwing pellets at Man United fans for losing to QPR. QPR fans were throwing pellets during the match, saying that Ollie at the wheel. So so really and truly, there's not a lot of club rivalry. Has resumed after now the Euros are over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I see that. The fans were in full swing yesterday, the QPR fans, and good luck to them. Do you know what I mean? I know it's only a friendly, but obviously for a QPR fan, I mean, they're going to be over the moon about that. Do you know what I mean? I know that we only see it as a friendly, but QPR fans, they'll be loving it at the moment.
Look, it's a day out. You've got to remember, these guys haven't seen any live football. Sadly, fans in the Championship and the lower leagues didn't get the opportunity that the Premiership clubs got, where they had some semblance of a percentage of fans. They didn't get that, which I thought was very unfair. I would have thought that, for those clubs who actually need the money and don't get the TV exposure, it would have been nice if, if the government actually brought forward their proposals last May and included those clubs, especially clubs like Queen's Park Rangers.
Yeah,
clubs, who, and even Brentford. Although Brentford were able to get fans in for the playoffs, but it is nice if smaller clubs do benefit from that. And I do hope, that gets there's an equaliser for them in terms of that they will get sorted out. But we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that bit later. We've got a super chat here, and it brings us on nicely to obviously our transfer business so far. Oregon Gooner, thank you very much for your super chat, mate. And he's saying an 8.5 rating so far for this window till. Be a 10 if we can get Madison, but it's looking like that is dead. I am still worried with Arteta's ability to coach the new players and slot them in. Let's start off with the first part of that question, Ken, and that is he's saying it's an 8.5 rating so far for this window. Just quickly, an update. Obviously, we got Tavares, our first signing at left back, basically a cover for Tierney. We all know at the moment that can we get 30, 35 games out of Tierney, it's going to be an R push. That's what we would all hope for. Obviously, we know I don't think we're going to get a full season out of him. So we definitely needed cover for him. We've got Tavares in. He's had a couple of games now in the pre-season, scored on his debut. Great right foot shot. Obviously, we've got Lokonga that's come in, a midfielder. Young looks good going forward. Had a good 45 minutes yesterday. And obviously, it looks like now that the deal is going to be completed on Wednesday. Ben White has come back, and we're going to sign Ben White for 50 million, Ken. What is your thoughts on, obviously, the window so far with them 3 signings? What do you think of the 3 signings so far?
Don't take any stock from any window because you can't give any marks because the simple reason is that, you can only give marks at the end of the transfer window. Because at the end of the day, you can get excited, but ultimately, fans get more excited if you're signing an attacking midfielder, a centre forward, or someone who plays on the left or right hand side of a free. So at the moment, you just have to, exercise a bit of patience. Ben White, in terms of like Tavares, we've always wanted some cover for, in terms of like Kieran Tierney. We wanted a younger person. We want someone who's an orthodox forward who can play, who can defend, but can attack as well. So we have to, hope, we know that, Tavares will definitely get opportunities, although because we're not in Europe, cup games could be situations or injuries to Kieran Tierney where we will see Tavares. But in terms of like Ben White is the question I'm asking any Arsenal fan, is Ben White better than what any defender we've got? Is he better than Gabriel? Yes. Is he better than Rob Holding? Absolutely. Is he better than Murray? I would say so. So and in terms of our Arsenal attack, do you want Arsenal to vary their attack with long passes out defence? Yes, you do. So without David Luiz in the team, Ben White will give us that sort of thing. And I know fans are going to be talking about the price, but the biggest elephant in the room, and I think Arsenal fans need to remember one thing as well, is that any player that's had an England cap or is on the verge of getting into the Southgate squad or being in the Southgate squad, the value of the players, especially when they go on the market, will be high, and you just have to accept that. So you can't scoff on that. Arsenal fans can't have it both ways. You can't say you want that while Liverpool, Man United getting talent well within their nose, that we're having to go abroad to get the talent, where these players have got to settle in. Sometimes you've got to pay the prices, and we've got a pot of money at Arsenal, a pot of money. And let's face it, let's remember one thing, right? Don't miss the open goal that we've been given with ESL and the open goal that Kroenkes have got in order to, appease people. Remember, they're out of Europe. They finished 8th for the last 2 seasons. I say it's a great respect to you, Terry. Mm-hmm. Arteta's got the equivalent of his last year in GCSEs, where he's going to have his GCSE exams in the summer, which means when you're in the 4th year, where you're doing your coursework, that's your play year. So we're now in the 5th year, where it's exam time. So Arteta can't afford to have Arteta's not having a transitional season. So you need, and he needs to do 2 things: either get signings in or just stop being a coach and define a cohesive and a clear style of play to get results, regardless. And so whatever happens, it is going to be what it is with the squad. There's going to be no excuses. We've got to get that top 4 at a bare minimum, and win a trophy next season. Nothing else is acceptable. There are no bullshit where you get another podcast where they say, "Oh yeah, but Man United made massive acquisitions. They spent about £300 million. Chelsea, blah blah. How are we going to compete? We'll find a fucking way." West Ham did.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, I understand where you're coming from. Look, I've been saying it for a while now. You know this, Ken. Do you know what I mean? We needed to sort we needed to hit the reset button. We needed to sort bottom to top out, and that's what we've been doing over the last few years. Obviously, every fan wanted us to finish higher. Of course we did. Even if you're an Arteta lover or you're not an Arteta lover, of course we wanted to finish higher. Of course we wanted to be playing in the Champions League, but it didn't happen. There was so much going on in the background. All that's gone now. Most of it, most of that poison. What I would say, the players that was there, we've got rid of them. There's still a few more to go. I know people are going to say, well, why is Xhaka still here? Why is Bellerin? Them deals look like they're going to be done. All the, Roma, what they want Xhaka. Inter Milan, they want Bellerin. There's probably going to be a few more going out the door too. And there's still going to be a few more coming in. I'm positive of that. Like you said at the beginning.
Sorry to cut in, but again,
that's right.
You've got to remember the whole situation is the transfer deadline, the transfer window is open from the 2nd of August up to the 31st of August, which means every minute of every day has to be used. And that's just factual. And clubs have to do that, which means there are advantages, especially if things go south. We all know that the team that's going to play in the Mind series against Chelsea and Tottenham and play the first game against Brentford and probably the next game against Chelsea may involve players who are going to be out the door in a week's time. It's just, people say the Xhaka deal may be off to Roma, but we don't know that. I'm sure if Roma really want him and want to pay us what we think he's worth, then that could happen. Bellerin, we hear it every time that Bellerin wants to leave the football club. Then he's got enough time to secure a move. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we've got enough time, to see if we can get a right back. Our shot me out deal. There's talks of Tammy Abraham. It's centre forward. We all know we need a proper number 9.
We'll get on to him in a minute.
Yeah, but even so, I say is that we need major surgery in a team. The team are not good enough. Not good enough, and there's better players who could fit in that side. Too many square pegs around round holes. The star players who everyone sees as a beacon are not good enough. Weren't good enough last season. Are probably not going to be good enough moving forward. They haven't delivered Champions League football to us since they've been at the football club. That's just me being blunt and telling the truth.
No, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. The transfer window shuts on the 31st of August. There's plenty of time to get deals done. What I will say is what I don't understand is that we'll have Arsenal fans sitting there saying, well, we've got money. If we want a player, why don't we just go out and get him and pay the money?
Don't work like that.
Right. So if that's the case, then why don't need teams like Roma and Inter Milan, if they want Bellerin and they want Xhaka, why don't they just do that? If they really want them, why don't they just pay the money to come and get them then?
The thing about it, that's why you've got a transfer window. In that transfer window, window invariably, like I said, goes into the 11th hour of the 31st of the soon to be next month. And the clubs do have that window to make negotiations. Players do have that window, and their agents do have to negotiate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so, and so work, and if we have adverse results and crap results, then we still got a time. Call it panic buying, but why not use it? Why not use it to try and improve the results? And so after the international break, we may improve. We did it in 2011, 2012 when we had horrendous results. We went and bought Lehman, Arteta, Santos. We've got Bellerin on loan. So it has been done. And we did it in virtually in the last hour of the transfer market.
Yeah. No, I agree
in that season.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. I think this time it's different from now on, though. For me, I think it's different. The calibre of players, the age in what we're going for. Obviously, they're not well-known players. You know, we can't all sit here and say, oh, Tavares, we all know about him, and Lokonga. Yeah, I mean, these are going to be brilliant. Yes, we do look at videos and we can say, you know, well, I've seen a bit of him. He looks good. He looks like the right attribute player that we want. And you know, this is what for me. This is what I'm saying. We've built. Like you said, we've had shit here for so long, Kenny. We've had shit here for so long, and now moving forward in this transfer window for me at the moment, with these three players that are coming in, they're young, 21, both 21 and 23-year-old. He's looking at building for the future. If you look at Tavares and Ben White, I think they're very similar in their style of play. They're obviously defenders. They like getting straight out from defence, getting on the attack straight away. They both can play a long ball to get us on the attack straight away. They both can dribble out of defence. They both can play out from the back. And you can see that there's sort of a style now that Arteta wants to go for and wants to play with them two players themselves. And if you add him to Lokonga in that, I think you can more or less say the same thing about him too. He's young, he's fit, he's good on the ball, he looks calm and collective, and move forward, you know, and get us on the attack straight away. So for me, it's about looking forward. We need these players coming in are going to make our squad a whole lot better. If you look at, you know, players like Wozniak, do we really want him as our left backup? No, we don't. Do you know what I mean? Do we want Guendouzi? A lot of people would want him, but I've said it from the start. I don't think the kid was good enough to come at Arsenal. I think to start off with, if Arsenal didn't buy him and put him in an Arsenal shirt, would we even be talking about him today? We wouldn't, because no one would know about him. So I don't understand why people go on about.
I think what's happened is that football fans over the years love players who show some sort of enthusiasm, look like they're giving all their all. And you know, when we saw Matteo when he first came to the football club, one of the things we liked, especially in the season when we were struggling under Unai, you know, the performance against Spurs, the assist for aubameyang, the way he dragged us when we were 2-0 down against Villa, the way he got us back in the game. And fans like that. They love that sort of, you know, drive, especially from midfield. They love a player who tries. You know, it's unique, especially in this country where we do like those sort of players. So we do, you know, gravitate towards those players. Obviously, we gravitate towards the star players, but when someone gives their all, they look like they're giving it, they really showing a bit of passion and show leadership. It doesn't mean they're playing well, but when we love all that. Yeah. We love that.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree with you. But if you go back and look at it really, Ken, I think you could only say on 3, 4, maybe 5 occasions that actually happened.
Yeah, but you know it's like with certain players, right? Is that 9 out of 10 times, right? You know, if you look at clubs who, dare I say it, don't challenge, but win the occasional good match, and they could beat, how I say it, we could beat anyone on our day team, right? You are going to look at situations, and you are going to look at players, and you are going to idolise them. But when you look at what they produce in terms of, well, what games they win with us, it's very few and far between and not very consistent. Mesut was not consistent. Charlie Nicholas was not consistent for us as well. But because they're big stars, and because on their day when they do big performance, they become memories because their star turns. Or the player that he looks like he's giving his all and is going to, again, that's the thing. You know, fans have really good memories, and if you produce 3 or 4 really memorable performances, then what will happen is that fans will want you to be in a team because they hope that, you know, they're going to see it again. Because, you know, players like Guendouzi, when they try, they look really good and they get 8 out of 9 out of 10s. Mesut as well, childless. His first season when he came to the football club, hardly ever scored. They scored against Spurs, went on a bit of a spree, then stopped scoring, scored against Spurs. But if you look at his output, his output and stats, I call people who live off stats cheats, who just worm their way into football podcasts and football discussions when they don't really watch the game, but they want to know how clever they are because they can translate statistical data into idiot's guide. But if you look at the stats, was Charlie a good fit for us? No, but when we went at the games, Charlie was because of the great performance we saw from Charlie. We were gonna give him a few bad games because we knew he was capable of meeting those standards, albeit not consistently.
I agree with you. Let's move on to the second part of his question. He's saying if we would get, he obviously would like Maddison. I've been saying this for a long time, Kenny. Since even, even before Arteta was manager, there's 2 players out there that I would love to go and buy. I've been saying this for the last 3 years, Maddison and Grealish. Now, I would love to have Maddison. He's a lifelong Arsenal fan. Not that it matters anyway, but obviously we love that sort of player anyway. But I just think he would be a brilliant asset to our team. He's got some.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say it because I was speaking to a Leicester City fan, and he first thing he said, Maddison hasn't got much pace. He's inconsistent, and that's not a criticism of him, but it's his observation. And he looks good when the team is playing well. And he looks good when he has a lot of pace and good players around him. But in terms of his contribution, there's a good odd pass here. There's a shot from 30 yards here and there, and there's a good free kick. But in terms of consistency, Leicester fans were worried, obviously, about his consistency and his injury record. But again, that's relative. But again, one thing I like about what you're saying is that you could have annoyed me and said, well, what's the point of getting Maddison and Grealish when it's going to plot the pass of Smith Rowe? I'll say it's a great respect. I couldn't give a monkeys about Smith Rowe's progress. I just want us to win. Smith Rowe's at an age where he's big and ugly enough to fail on the challenge. If Smith Rowe's good enough, then he will see off players, big names who come through and take their place. Just like Mason Mount did at Chelsea, where he played in the Champions League final and played in the Euro 2020 final. Yeah, a lot of us thought he didn't contribute much, but he fought and saw the challenge at his young age and relatively inexperienced credentials or portfolio, and still managed to see off the competition, which is a challenge for players like Saka, a challenge for players like Emil. Saka, all intents and purposes, saw off the challenge of a £72 million acquisition from Lille, i.e. Nicola Pepe. So it can be done. These, don't want to give them a free rein. We do want to win. So let them fight for their places.
Listen, I totally agree with where you're coming from there. Just quickly, because obviously you brought him up. Another fantastic, great news for Arsenal. Obviously, Smith Rowe, I knew he wasn't going anywhere anyway. Do you know what I mean? I've been saying this for ages. I think the contract was done a long time ago myself. I don't know why Arsenal do it, but they do it. We all know that. But yeah, another great bit of news. But listen, this is what we want at Arsenal. This is what I don't understand. And this is what we've been moaning about for ages. Our squad has been shit. Our subspence have been shit for ages. What we want is competition for places. 100%. Now, these new players coming in, they're 21 and 23. All I keep hearing is, we don't need backup players. Well, breaking news, we do, because we need a squad of players. We want players.
Yeah, but you've got to show empathy for a lot of football fans, especially, a lot of football fans do like a player that comes through the ranks because they feel that if that player comes through the ranks, they're Arsenal through and through. I mean, you wouldn't get more West Ham than Jack Wilshere and Ray Parlour, but because they came through the ranks, they're Arsenal through and through. But they're West Ham fans. Terry Adams, one of our greatest ever players, is a West Ham fan. But because he came through the ranks, he's Arsenal through and through. He's Mr. Arsenal. But he didn't support Arsenal. But we do like a player that just come through the ranks. Because you can identify them. You think they're going to try harder. They're going to be more loyal. Yep. And that, you know, money won't be an object to them because they love the club. That's how every football fan feels like. Just like the affinity that the Man United fans had with you know, your Beckhams, you know, your Neville brothers, you know, your Giggs, you know, your Scholes, but you know, all those sort of players.
Just quickly to add on what you're saying there, Ken. I totally agree again. And excuse me. You know, we've been crying out. How long have we been saying as fans that we've just got players here that don't care if they come on? They're just picking up their wages, and you know, these players haven't got.
But you know, invariably when players do that, a lot of that's to do with the managers, isn't it? Like if you look at because if you look at it, right, a good manager has to ensure that everyone's, you know, like batting in the same lineup and singing off the same hymn sheet, which means players who are backup players have to feel included. Like if you look at certain football clubs, some dickhead managers treat them like they're nothing. If you look at that dickhead who was managing England, Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Oh, you obviously got the ump about that, Kenny. Hopefully he'll be rejoining us. But before he does, we've got a super chat here for Oregon Gooner. He's saying, Terry, let's look into the future. If we're 7th to 12th in December, will you want Arteta at? Oh, he's back. He's back. We'll answer this in a second.
What I was saying before, you know, I was running out a bit of juice, but I've got a lot of juice. Is that there's a lot of there's coaches like Gareth Southgate, although he's a bit where he includes everyone and makes a feel part of the furniture, and who did that. But it's always dickheads like Eriksson, who took players to the England squads in 02 and 06. But if you weren't part of his first team, he ignored you. That's not good management. And what happens is that when these players play, they couldn't give them monkeys because they're not feel part of it. And I think that's where Arteta has to do his man-management skills. And remember, every player is important because you're going to need them. They need to feel included. You need to tell them in advance they're going to play.
Well,
and
that's
when
that's
they play,
why
they've got to be effing ready.
That's why I think it's going to be different now, because obviously now he's getting the players in that he wants and building a squad now. So that's what I'm saying. He's got rid of all these old guard players that have been here for ages under Wenger, under Emery. Do you know what I mean? That can do what they want.
He's still got a bit of work to do on that. He's still got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, he has. I'm not saying just because we've got 3 players in now we're going to go and win the league. I'm not saying that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying.
I'm talking about in terms of getting the players he needs and getting rid of players who are not part of his plans.
Yeah, no, exactly. We still need to go out and get loads more players. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, for me, I think we're going in the right way about it. You know, the players that we're getting in, they're young, they're enthusiastic. They're not just going to want to sit there and be a bit part in the team. For me, I don't think they will. I think they will want to challenge. That, you know, I think Tavares will want to challenge Tierney to get in that. He knows damn well that Tierney's going to be our left back. So now he's got to work his arse off to get a chance in his team. He knows that.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Even with Lokonga, you know, just because he's coming in doesn't mean he's automatically going to come straight in the squad. At the moment, we don't know who else is coming in, so he's going to have to fight for that squad, that place.
Couldn't agree more.
Quickly, Oregon Gooners come up with another super chat. Thank you very much, mate. He said, Terry, let's look into the future. If we're 7th or 12th in December, will you want Arteta out? If not, why? Cheers, bro. Listen, for me, it all depends on. It's going to sound not weird or I'm trying to back him up or anything like that. What I'm trying to say, it depends on the situation of if we're playing really shit after the players that he gets coming in and we're end up between 7th and 12th and it doesn't look like we're going to be doing anything this season, I will be having serious questions and doubts about Arteta, right? But what we've got to look at is the whole situation as a whole. You've got Man City and Chelsea, right? Man City at the moment look like they could go out and get Harry Kane and Grealish. We'll talk about that at the end of part of this program because I want to bring that up. But if they do, they're going to be very, very hard to catch by any team. So they're already going to be in first place. Chelsea, if they get Ireland, if they get a few other players, they're going to be pushing Man City. So that's the second place gone, right? So then you've got Liverpool, you've got Leicester, you've got Man United, you've got Tottenham. You know, at the moment they're in a little bit of trouble. We don't know what's going to happen with them. But you've got another 4 teams there that we're going to be fighting for them 4 places. So it could turn out that we're all sort of winning games and only lost a couple of games, but because of it, we might be in 6th place just because of the points and the goal difference or whatever. So we can't lose sight of
that will be accepted. Because accepted if there's lightly in a tunnel.
Exactly.
But as we said before, this is not Arteta's play. He's had his play here last season. He has to hit the ground running. The best way for Arteta to hit the ground running and give himself a better chance is just remember, it's all well and good in wanting to be a coach, wanting to see his formations and how he gets things right. I'm sorry, he's gone by results. He's got to stop being a coach and be a manager and manage results. So he has to find a way that is simple for the players and that we have to get results. The first few games are critical because what will happen is that it will decide amongst the fans whether we can carry on. That's just factual. You only have to because of the way after what you just described, you basically said that a lot our rivals or competitors, although it's laughable that we are at the moment because of the distance in terms of like ambitions between both clubs. But if you want to be, fair and say competitors, full well if we even after 4 or 5 games, if we're nowhere near them, we know we're not going to win the league, and we know that our ambitions are lessened. And that's the biggest worry. By the transfer window, or just after the international thing, we don't have a situation where we're about 5 or 7, 10 points behind our rivals, because that is going to worry fans, and that is going to cause concerns. And the ugly head, which is criticism, demands for replacements will come. It's going to happen because simple reason. This is not his play yet. This is not a transitional season. You can bellyache. I'm not saying you, but I say people can bellyache and talk about the unfairness of it all and all that. But they're not fooling nobody. It's not a play year. It's a year where we have to hit the ground running. There's going to be no excuses about not being able to compete with Man United because they've got Man City because they've got Harry Kane, or Liverpool because they've got the front three, or Man United because they've got Sancho and Falange, and Falange, Pogba, and all those good players and Cavani out front. Doesn't matter. You've got to find a way. Change the way we were playing last season and make us more on the front foot. That's something you always called for. You've got a £72 million player. You've still got players who, albeit past their best, but you have to find a way to get him scoring goals again. Simple.
No, I totally agree with you. I'm not. That's exactly what I said. I'm not trying to back Arteta up or defend him in any way. All I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you.
Yeah. I know that, Ken. I know you say. All I'm trying to say is realistically, you've got to look at the situation in hand, and obviously other teams will be improving too. So just because we're improving and we're sorting our squad out doesn't automatically give us the right to say, well, we should be in the top 4 then. It doesn't.
Yeah, but you have to find a way. You have to wait for that because you have to wait for that. And I do think that you get top 4, you win leagues, not really 6-pointers. That it does help, but invariably, let's remember we lost games at home to Wolves, Aston Villa, Leicester, Everton. Everton to name it, Burnley. Teams that finished higher than us. So again, they finished below us, well below us. So again, it's our results against the smaller teams which have caused concern, and was the real reason why fans like myself wanted him to replace. It's because And invariably, some of those teams did the double over us, or some of those teams took 4 points of us.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So again, it's because if you look at our results under Arsene Wenger when we were very critical of the fact he wasn't Chancellor League, invariably we were winning those games against them, what we called teams that we should be beating, and that enabled us to get into the top four.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, mate. There's been a couple of questions, obviously. Let's answer these ones. And that is obviously players we've been linked with, Kenny. One of them is obviously Tammy Abraham's, and the other one is Ramsdale. Obviously, a lot of people listen to these ITKs. They believe in them. Everything that they say is gospel.
But remember these ITKs are, and you say they're ITKs, but are you talking about journalists who have links to football clubs? Or are you talking about people on Twitter who relay this information and use it and source these rumours? Because you know that at the end of the day, the Ben White thing, in all intents and purposes, isn't a rumour. It is going to happen.
Yeah.
In terms of like getting Lokonga, that's happened, and that was reported before. It did happen. Tavares, that was something that's happened before. So I'm not saying that they all get it wrong. And you do have a point. You know, journalists are us fans. We'll lose that. We will use our logic and say, well, hang on here. You throw it out there. Why not Aarons as right back? Why not this player playing and everything? So yeah, we do the logic, but to all intents and purposes, you know, there are employees, or how do I say it, people who I call secondary employees of the football club who do sell information to the journalists, and that 90% of that information is concrete. And even people within ARTETA's setup will do that and set up, and within the ball setup will leak these stories to appease people like me and you, to show the fans that we have got ambition and we are looking at the players. Trust me. Let me tell you something now. Ornstein, when he was at the BBC, got a lot of information for the football club, and they told him, and in order to shut him up from spreading rumours, they gave him a slice of the cake. Not a big slice, but a small slice. And he's still, and I believe that's still happening within the Athletic. He's still got links with the football club. So sometimes you have to take it seriously. But I hear what you're saying, that you're not taking it seriously.
Because you brought him up, Kenny. Don't forget, Ornstein was the one who said, we definitely wouldn't be buying Pepe. He's too much money.
Yeah,
we didn't have the money to do that.
But
and he's the same with Madison. So
remember, I hear what you're saying, but Ornstein does have a link with a football club, and you know they'll give him information they want. But you know the same thing with the Romano. Romano has got a very, very high success rate for all the transfers at all the football clubs. Why? Because Romano scratched a few people's backs at certain football clubs, and they're rewarding him with information in order to boost his portfolio, boost his Twitter channels, and actually give him a career where he can go on these shows and be with a transfer aspect. Same with Makotti, same with Joseph. Lorien's, you know, all these journalists, they do have links with the football clubs, because you know it's based on the football clubs telling fans this is what we're trying to do. Just wait with us. It's all about trying to stop us from going mad about lack of activity.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Static is saying, "Hi Terry, I have a question. Are you still concerned about Arsenal taking too long to sell players?" No, I'm not, mate. Like we was talking about, I think you come in late. We were talking about this earlier on. Even Kenny said, you know what I mean? The transfer window shuts on August the 31st. There's still, 3 weeks left to do these things. Like I said before, you know, as fans, we turn around and say, well, why don't Arsenal just, if they want a player, why don't they just go out and pay for him and get him? If we want him that badly, why don't we just do that? Well, if Roma wants Xhaka that bad and Maureen wants him at Roma, why don't they just cough up the money and come and get him? Same as Inter Milan for Bellerin. Why have we always got to back down as a club? If we want a bit more money for these players, then surely we should be happy that we want, to try and get some money. Yes, I want them gone. Don't get me wrong. I want him gone. I want both of them gone. But at the end of the day, why can't we play ball like other clubs play ball with us? So I'm still not worried. I think they will go. I think Xhaka and Bellerin knows personally that they're not going to be first team players anyway. So do they really want to sit there as second choice backups? I don't think they do. But I don't think they deserve to be in the team anyway. That's just my own opinion. There's been a lot of questions about that, but I think they still will go. I'm not worried about it, and I still think that we get a few more players in. Tony, yes, you're right. Let me just see what you said. He said you're paying for Pepe in instalments, Terry. You didn't pay it up front. Most clubs pay for big transfers. Look at Sancho. I think that's over 4 or 5 years. Why is it only when Arsenal do it? It gets advertised that it's a big major thing. But Man United have done that with Sancho and no one batters an eyelid. I don't understand it. What about you, Ken?
Well, yeah. Look, let me say something now. Not everyone. Even Abramovich does it. I mean, he quickly worked out, and I think the main source at Man City quickly worked out that hang on here, it's all well and clubs love it when you pay the full transfer fee, but sometimes it has to be installments because clubs understand that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that West Ham were in real financial trouble when they got relegated in 2003, but Abramovich saved them from financial trouble when he bought Glenn Johnson and Joey Cole and paid the whole transfer fee. That actually saved them. That saved their arses when they got relegated. I believe that Abramovich has stopped doing that, paying the whole transfer fee up front.
No, I agree. Just quickly on them two players that we said, Tammy Abrahams and Ramsdale, would you be happy with them, Kenny?
Well, the thing with Taylor is a very interesting situation because, on the one hand, you're saying he's a Chelsea reject and not again. Petr Cech didn't work out for us. Willian hasn't been a success. David Luiz, people question that, and they also question, Gallas before that, and other and Bellerin as well. They question all those sort of players. However, the biggest elephant in the room is we do need a complete centre forward. We're not going to win the league with Aubameyang and Lacazette, especially in the sort of form they're in. We can only win the league if we play 4-3-3 and we have a complete centre forward that can run the channels, play with their back to goal, play on the shoulder, hold the ball up, and score goals, just like Harry Kane. You know what I mean? Those are I know people say, well, that sort of position doesn't exist. Well, it does exist. Only players like that are few and far between and that's why they score a lot of money. But Arsenal can't win. I'm not going to trouble teams, especially the way Arteta wants to take the play without that sort of player. Under Arsene, you could just about get away because we play a different way. And then when Unai Emery finally realised, I'll just let him let's just get some results. He tried to do that. Arteta Mikel don't want to play that way. Mikel invariably wants to play a different way. So he wants to play. I don't even know what Mikel's targets are, but the fact is, we can't rely on Aubameyang and Lacazette, especially if Aubameyang has another season like he had last season. Let's just, cut the cord, get some big money for him, or phase him out and let's play a different way. Still use him, but maybe use him off the left. Under no circumstances, play him in a centre forward position where he's going to get no service. And he ain't going to be able to do what he want to do. People look at these goals and say, oh, yeah, of course he's got to play centre. He scores 30-foot goals, and definitely. But he's not a Lewandowski. When he was at Dortmund, when he played alongside Lewandowski was the one who was playing through the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree, mate. And Ramsdale.
Well, in terms of Ramsdale, again, it's Ramsdale, Tammy Abraham, Ben White, probably Madison. England internationals. If you play for England or you have any association with the under-21s or Gareth Southgate squad, your price will go up. Everyone knows Arsenal needs two competitive first team goal number ones at the football club. Doesn't mean they're going to be any good, but they need someone who can step in and look like a number one. So that's the situation. You know, we were looking at a Nana, the Cameroonian goalkeeper from Ajax, who I still think is probably the best goalkeepers we're looking at. But again, there has to be life after Lehmann. Is Lehmann a top class number one? Not really. Good. Is he a competent number one for most football clubs? Yeah, but not for a top club. I beg to differ.
No, I agree. I agree with you, mate. Listen, at the end of the day,
but Ramsdale. Let's face it. I don't agree with the signing. If I wanted a goalkeeper, I want someone with a bigger name than that. But how many players have you seen get play with a team that gets relegated, and then all of a sudden they go to a bigger club or a bigger name club and they smash it? Craig Bellamy got relegated in 2001 in Coventry. Look what he did at Newcastle. Brilliant. Van Alden got relegated with Newcastle. Look what happened. He's won a lot with Liverpool. Sissoko got relegated with Newcastle. He became a massive fixture of the team under Pochettino's team at Tottenham. So it can happen. You can't rule it out.
Yeah. And it might be just different playing styles, different manager, different circumstances that, makes it or could make it work.
The thing make it the biggest elephant in the room as well, is Pickford England's number one, the undisputed number one? Do you think that there's better keepers that could challenge him? We all think there is. This could be an opportunity for Ramsdale to say, right, I've got a chance here. I'm going to smash it. I'm going to show Gareth Southgate that's my jersey. Places are still up for grabs for the World Cup for England. Still up for grabs. And that includes...
Don't forget, it doesn't mean, there's a lot of clubs that go out there and pay big money for goalkeepers. Yeah. Chelsea, for instance, 75 million for Kepa.
Look how that works out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it could work. It could. I think what it is and all is that people go along with the ride, if you know what I mean, with all this, how much it is. I mean, I've heard a lot of rumours saying that he's going to be 30 million, and then today it come out that it could only be 18 million. So, people just get carried away.
The thing is, the cheating's out the bottom with English players. For instance, too many, football fans are like the owners at most football clubs. It's going to be very hard for fans to accept a British player. Majority of our fans, especially since a lot of our fans are younger, they do watch a lot of football from other leagues. And they do want a big name to come from Europe. It's like our owners want a big name manager to come from Europe all around the world, which means it's very difficult for a British manager to be accepted at a top six club. And I don't mean in terms of position, but I'm talking in terms of what you consider the traditional big clubs in the Premiership. It's going to be rock hard for an Englishman to get a job at Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, and City. Frank Lampard's probably a dying breed now.
Yeah,
I mean, did anyone think Ryan Mason was going to get that job at Tottenham? There's more chance of getting me and you getting a genuine afro and you getting a genuine mullet. You know what I mean? It's not going to
happen. No. Tony's asked us to put this one up. He said it's a bit of a laugh. He said, do you remember when Arsenal tried to buy Suarez off Liverpool and they put a bid in for £40.1 million and FSG Liverpool owners tweeted, what are them lot like at the Emirates smoking?
It's funny they should say it. Suarez was tempted to come to Arsenal.
Yeah,
we offered him a bigger contract. We were still in the Champions League. Yeah, we finished fourth in the league. Liverpool weren't in Europe. They certainly weren't in Europe. I think they finished about, was it 8th or 9th? So he would have joined a better team and a better caliber of player. And you know, it took for someone like Steven Gerrard to say, give us one more season, and then Barcelona coming for you. So it's not that offer we made was not made without encouragement, and this is documented as well by Suarez and Steven Gerrard. So it's not as if Arsenal did the wrong thing by offering them that money. They did it because the player was prepared to come to Arsenal for big money, because he would have earned and playing the Champions League.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Jack Ramsey's come in with a super chat. Hope you're well, Jack. He's saying thoughts on Palace signings having a good window, Kenny.
In with Crystal Palace. Well, yeah, they got. I think what's happened, right, is that Vieira's got to flex his muscles and get the players in a way that you know, the ball wasn't able to do that. The ball try to, you know, play a continental style with players who basically play direct football with pace. So if Vieira's making those signings, then he has to get players who he feels are going to, also get Palace playing a different style of play. Don't get me wrong, Palace are one of those teams that on their day they can beat any team. They can go to Anfield and win. They can go to Old Trafford and win. They can go to Arsenal win. They could go to Spurs win, and they could go to the Etihad Stadium win. And the reason why I say it, because they have done that over the years. Yeah. But you know, they've been mightily inconsistent. They got a horrendous defensive record, especially at their own ground, and hence so that is something that Patrick Vieira's got to look at. You know, he's always going to have. They're always going to be on the front foot. They're always going to have pacey players and skillful players, and be on the attack. But defensively and in midfield, they're an imbalance in their makeup. But they're never going to get. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Just before we move on, move on with another subject. Let's. I just want to ask you this question. Let's make out. We're fast forward to August the 31st. What players or how many other players would you like coming in, Ken, to say, look, we've got a chance next season, and it's been a good window. Well, that's a good question. I want to centre forward. I still want Aouar at the football club. I still want a right back, and I still want and that's those are the players I want. And I want a goalkeeper, so I want four or five more signings. It's non-negotiable. You can't mess around there. The money's there. There's an open goal. Everyone. When fans said we want our chairman and our board to take our considerations like on board. Let's face it, 9 out of 10 times, if you make big player acquisitions and spend big, a bit of tautology there, then I think fans will just keep their gloves shut and just run with it. We want big signings and we want big players coming to the club and we want teams winning. We're simple folks sometimes as football fans. We just want to win and win well every season.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Obviously, we just all want to win. We all want to be up there and winning the league. If we was all spoiled kids like we want to be and say, yes, we want to win the league every year, of course we do. But sometimes you've got to be realistic. You've got to look at other situations around you.
No, football fans' job is not to be realistic. The football fans' job is to want to win every game. And when you're at a big club like Arsenal, you've got to remember you don't support Fulham, you don't support Crystal Palace or Brighton, and you certainly don't support Portsmouth. You support Arsenal, so you're well within your rights, and it's reasonable enough for yourself to say yes, because I'm an Arsenal fan, because I've seen us get big success, and because I generally believe we're the biggest club in London, that we should prove that by challenging and finding a way. I think when fans talk about transitions and say, we can't always do it, they're protecting their position on their support for the manager, especially this manager.
I get where you're coming from, but sometimes, let's be real. That's what I'm saying. Let's be real and let's be honest here. If we move the conversation on to the different subjects that I want to talk about, and that is obviously Man City. They could obviously go out and buy Harry Kane and Jack Grealish. If they do, They've got. Let's be honest. They're going to be absolutely phenomenal next season with the squad that they've got.
Could they have? Let's not forget. Let's not forget. And I'll say it's a great respect to Man City fans. When they won a title in 2012, they were gift wrapped that because Man United made a balls up in the game when they were 3-1 up against Everton.
Yeah.
4-2 up against Everton. That's gift wrapped. 2014, Liverpool and Arsenal took turns in it to gift wrap them that title. Last season, they got gift wrapped the title because of Liverpool, because of Jurgen Klopp's inability to play, his stupidity in playing players, especially his best midfielders in defence. And Man United's patheticness at Old Trafford, they'll gift wrap that title. So when we talk about Man City, the great Man City sides weren't those sides who won those titles. The great Man City sides were the teams that pushed Liverpool close and won the title in 2019, and that fantastic team in 2018 under Guardiola. Those are the great Man City sides. All the other, as far as I'm concerned, those other titles they've won have been gifts. Gifts.
Yeah, they've been gifts, and obviously, let's be honest, they have bought it because obviously they've gone out and they've been able to get who they want and the players
Definitely.
that they want.
Did they win those titles at a canter? Look, does anyone really believe that last season then winning the title wasn't a gift? I mean, and I say this with my eyes wide open. They played a bloody binder during the Christmas period with at postponing some of those games with a COVID scare. What a blinder that was! That did exactly hampered them. It bloody helped them. Plus, the other issues with the incompetence of Liverpool, Man United.
No, look, I get where you're coming from, but what I'm trying to say is that I can't understand, right? I can't understand fans, and what I mean by this is that obviously, there was a big uproar about the Super League, right? We can't do the Super League because there'd be 6 teams that basically be able to afford to go out and get whoever they want, and no other teams. Listen, fans will turn around and say it was because obviously there was no relegation or promotion, but let's be honest, truthfully, the main reason was because obviously Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United, Man City, they would have got a war chest, a proper war chest to go out there, basically build a team.
I hate what you're saying. I'm actually surprised that their fans didn't go for it because let's face it, they got a Super League anyway. I mean,
exactly.
Before when we first moved to the Emirates, there was a top 4 which we were part of, and the other teams wouldn't catch up. That was a Super League.
Yeah, exactly.
They got all those clubs got the most money because they're in Europe in the Champions League every year, and they were able to pay their players the best salaries and play their player and basically get the better players from around the world because of where they were. So let's face it. This is going to be revisited. Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United aren't letting this go. Chelsea and Spurs definitely want a piece of pie. I generally believe that Arsenal, Man United, Tottenham, and Liverpool for sale. And the best way to sell the football club is to make a killing with the ESL, then make the club valuable, and then sell. I don't think long term those 4 owners are going to want to be here. They want to sell on, sell on. But they're not going to be sell on unless they either all those teams in the Champions League or they make their killing from ESL, and then they do the Frank Boff. Logic says that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just can't understand. Let's be honest, because what is the difference between the Super League, right, and the Premier League? And the reason why I say that is if, for instance, Man City do go out and get these deals over the line with Harry Kane and Grealish, with the amount of money that they're going to have to pay for these players and the amount of wages, how can a team like Brentford, that's just got promoted, newly team that's never been in the Premiership, cope with that? They can't cope with it, Ken.
Well, not at all, and that's the thing. That's why the things that Brentford could do is, invariably players like either Tony would leave. But what Brentford have done really well is that they've replaced these players and produced great strikers. They're virtually like an Atletico Madrid, albeit in West London, like Atletico Madrid. You look at the conveyor belt of strikers, great strikers. Aguero, Fernando Torres, Diego Costa, Griezmann, all players that that have come to Atletico Madrid. And you've got a situation Brentford now. You've got players like Mopai. Then after Mopai, there's players like Watkins, and now you got Tony. So they all Brentford carry on finding players who can there, and with them being in the Premiership as well, if they stay up, then it's a good breeding ground, to actually keep in the Premiership. I mean, some clubs just recruit well, and they quickly work out if you want to win football matches and achieve your ambitions, you need to get someone who can score goals and score goals quick.
Mm-hmm.
Dortmund as well. You could put Dortmund in that bracket as well with the strikers they've had over the years, where they've managed to, compete with Bayern Munich, albeit not at the level they were doing under Klopp and to a certain extent Tuchel, because they got players who could put the ball in there.
David, I just want to address this. I've not got a problem with Chelsea and City spending. Don't get me wrong. I've not got a problem with it at all. I think owners and clubs should be able to do what they want. If an owner wants to put money in and he wants to spend, why can't he spend it? But what I'm saying is basically that's what was the Super League. What was the difference? Why was all fans in an array? That was really all built up because of Sky. Sky done that.
100%. I think a lot of football fans as well was that they wanted their match going fans to go and feed. But I think what's happened is that a lot of football fans love tradition in this country, and rightly so. The game is the game of their forefathers. They've been brought up on 3:00 games. The match of the day at 9:45 on a Saturday, and the big match in the London region at 2:30. That's what they've been brought up on. They love traditions and everything. And they could just about cope with the Premier League, but I think the ESL, they do like to go to Stoke on a wet Tuesday night. They do want to go up to Newcastle and get up at 3:00 in the morning and get it back home at about 6:00 at night. If it's a 12:30 kickoff, they love all that. They complain about it, but that's what they've been brought up on.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. Listen, we'll be going for an hour and 23 minutes. We're just going to touch on this last bit because obviously it's breaking news today on Sky News, and that is obviously the Premier League are talking about crowds back next season may have to have a COVID passport to go and watch their team. Let's get your thoughts on it first, Kenny. What's your thoughts on it first?
Well, it's inevitable as well. It's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. I think what's happened is that, there's a lot of arse protection now from the government and obviously the Premiership as well. And obviously the Premier League have had surveys amongst fans of all the football clubs, and it's the same with the Football League as well. And it seems like the majority of fans do have reservations to go into the full stadia without the precautions, i.e., like social distancing, without people without masks. And so this has been, is a fan initiative as well. But what's happened, the biggest elephant in the room was Euro 2020. I think the government did very well for the country in terms of like ensuring that these games and these attendances occurred at Wembley. And they wanted to sort of get patronage and support from UEFA. What did UEFA do? They rewarded us with the Champions League final in 2024. So we helped UEFA out. And so we've allowed all the executives, all 2,000, to come for all these big games in the knockout stages and the final, of course. So what's happened is that we relaxed our rules, but what scientists have discovered, probably at a cost where there was a spread of disease. In terms of vaccine passports as well, it's something that it's the biggest elephant in the room. I think football clubs do want that. Because the reason why they do want that is because there's a genuine feeling amongst scientists that there is going to be a new variant, that infections are going to go up in the winter because of the weather. You know, as much as we always have a flu epidemic during the winter every year, especially from October to December, they feel that that we're going to have variants and infections in them during that period. So what will happen invariably is if you want to protect the businesses, i.e. the theatres, you want to protect the night clubs, you want to protect the football clubs, all these events, you're going to have to, they're the ones who are insisting in vaccinations. They want that. They don't want to close down. They don't want someone who's going to come in unvaccinated or without a mark, unvaccinated, and shut them down. And it costs people money and jobs. People have to go about pay. So you have that is something that they're going to push for. And remember, everyone, if you want your Christmas, they're probably going to say, well, get vaccinations and you'll have your Christmas back. It's the way it's going now. You know, you only have to look at the situation where Arsenal have changed their policy in terms of like offering fans deferments towards next season ticket. What's that saying? Well, we may not be able to guarantee full stadia. Why Arsenal changed their policy on cup final tickets, where you don't have to rely on away credits, you just have to rely on home attendance? What's that saying? We probably won't be able to go away games. You know, there are so many red flags and signals that have been passed down by the government, and the vaccine rollout has invariably been about getting these events on. And I think what's happened is that people who are anti-vaccine or anti-lockdown and everything, you have to get real. You really have to get real. If you don't take the vaccine, then you have to miss out on watch the events at home. Seriously, because they're not messing about. They're not going to risk your opposition and your "I know my rights" attitude, because that's putting people's jobs at risk if they've got to close down if there's an infection.
Yeah.
Listen, sorry, that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, listen, I totally understand. Look, if people want to say that, they don't want to have the needle because they don't believe in this, there's not enough evidence, blah, 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 why are we being forced to have it? Listen, if you don't want to have it, I've got no problem with it, right? But the thing is, don't moan about it, that you can't get in a nightclub, you can't get in a football stadium, or you won't be able to go abroad. Because it's the same thing. You can't go abroad unless you've got a passport. You can't do it. So what do? We all moan about every 10 years when it comes up, you've got to renew your passport. It costs you 75 quid to 80 quid, and you go, for fuck's sake, out. It goes up and up and up and all the time. But we have to do it. We have to do it. Otherwise, you get left behind and you can't go on holiday. You won't be able to do this. You won't be able to do that. So at the end of the day, look, and it's Tony's put here, what's the point of vaccines if a lockdown might happen again? Getting confused. Well, it's the same thing as the flu jab. People have the flu jab, but still get the flu. Yeah, but it hopefully makes it mild for you if you get it. That's what it does. It helps you, and it helps the NHS and our hospitals. That's what it does. And obviously, it has worked to a certain degree, because this time round, even though that, we've got 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 people getting this new variant, it's not as many deaths as what it was last time. So it is obviously doing something. So it is helping. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I totally agree with you. And I think what's happening, it's all about the spread. It's about it's preventing the spread and having some sort of normality. You can't, the Premier League and its stakeholders, i.e. the 21 clubs, and we talk about your lower leagues as well, although they may be exemptions because they don't have old days attendances, they can't afford to play in front of empty stadiums. It can't happen. They can't afford it. 1 year is just enough. But if it happens, then clubs will struggle. You can't rely just on your your sponsorship money and your TV money, and some TV sponsorship sponsors and TV stations don't want to associate with an event that has no atmosphere.
Exactly. I totally agree. Look, I just think for a 2-second jab, let's be honest. The thing that baffles me, Ken, right? The thing that baffles me with this is that if we get ill or we have a car accident or, you know, something along the lines where obviously you have to have an ambulance, they take you to hospital, they pump all these drugs into you. You don't care what they're pumping into you as long as it fucking helps you.
100%. 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. Maybe it's your families. Maybe your families.
Exactly. You ain't sitting there on the bed and saying, hold up here a minute, I might be in fucking pain and bleeding out, but what are you putting into me so I know what it is? You know what I mean? You don't give a shit. You're saying, put fucking needles in me, you know what I mean? Strap me up, do whatever you need to do because I don't want to die. There you go. This is all it is. Just have the needle. It's 2 needles. It takes 2 seconds. Yes, you might get a little bit of a reaction out of it. There's only, you know, there's not that many people that's died from it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You're going to get that no matter in what you do in life. You know, some people have a bad reaction to things. You're hoping that it ain't you, but, you know, you just got to carry on with it. Just have the jab. Let's all do it and get on with life. For God's sake, Ken.
Well, you know, the thing is, right, I'm going to leave it to some people. I had a situation where, you know, where I'm employed, where people couldn't wait to get their computers and pack up and say, you know what, oh, I'm so worried about, you know, I've got asthma, I've got underlying health issues. I mean, bloody hell, I don't think they even knew how to spell that word, spelled underlying health issues. But so I've got to work from home because I don't want to get on trains, I want to do that. So they're happy to work from home, right? Happy to have all that, but they won't take a vaccine. Yet they've got underlying health problems, which says, oh, they don't want to be going to work, but they want to work from home. So what happens to your underlying health conditions? You won't take the vaccine. What's happening there then? What's that? What happened to your social distancing when you had underlying health issues? What happened then? I mean, you can't. Exactly. You know, Scooby Doo would be more confused. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. AJ is saying, Terry, as a man who has a fight for his life because of medical conditions, when you're on the deathbed, you like to do anything you can to help. You don't care what they're pumping into you. Exactly, you don't. No one asked for it. That's what I'm saying. No one asked what they're putting in you or what they're putting in that drip, you know what I mean, and all that rubbish, you know what I mean? You're just happy to get the help. So, you know what I mean? I just don't understand. Just don't understand why people were so against it. Do you know what I mean? I know there ain't a lot.
I tell you why, Terry. We live in an age now where and I say it with great respect, you know, there's a right-wing element in this country which has used to be for the last 10 years have got their own way. They got the government they want for the last 10, 11 years. They got Brexit through. They got their precious free speech and their free movement. And now they want to get their precious lockdown measures. They want their precious freedom movement, and they hate lockdown. So you look at every right-wing organisation in this country or any right-wing speaker, common denominator, they hate lockdown, they hate the vaccine, they hate the government because they're doing this and that. And it's all because they've been used to getting their own way. And it used to be to offending as many people as they want. And the minute you say no to them, you're woke. You're a lefty.
Yeah.
They just do is throw their weight around. They just want their own way. Well, sorry, you know, what about you know, you've got to look at the situation. By all means, scream and shout and kick and scream, but you're not getting your own way on this. You know, this is one battle that you've lost, and you just have to take it on the chin, like we've had to take it on the chin. Listen to your bollocks about wokeness and, you know, and about how you go on, you know, your crappy TV stations like GB News and your crappy radio stations like Talk Radio and talk as much nonsense as you like. We just have to sit there and take your bile.
Tiona, sorry, I hope that's how I pronounce your name. She put, a lot of people have died from it. Do your research. Advertising poison. I'm not advertising anything. I said it's totally up to you. But what I'm saying is, a question to yourself then is that if you don't want to take it and you don't want to have the needle to protect you or protect me and my family, because I've had it, my family's had it, you know, will you give up your right then if you get it that you can't be treated? Will you give up your right for that?
Of course. Yeah, see, Tiana, our problem is that we got no problem with your views. We ain't got a problem with it. But you seem to have a problem with us because we want to take the vaccine and because we want to comply to government rules. We're the problem. You know, if you don't want to take it, that's your affair. But you can't go around having a go at people because they're wearing masks, or because they want to take a vaccine which they will feel comfortable in themselves for taking.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, that like we said at the beginning of this conversation, if you don't want to have the vaccine, that's down to you. But then don't complain when you can't get into nightclubs or a football club or go abroad. You can't have it both ways.
Well, they simply, you know, we have a situation where, you know, John Gooner, I genuinely believe that. And, you know, thanks for saying that, John Gooner. But I genuinely believe that has been a pattern of play for the last 11 years. People just think they can just spout off, throw their weight around, start, you know, trying to change people's minds because they've been getting their own way and been forcing their opinions down on people, and we just have to sit there and take it. You know what I mean? Well, I've got no problem. I've got nothing against people, right? Not wanting to take. In fact, I respect their opinion. I actually believe in their fears. I do get it. But the situation is that the economy won't move in terms of the entertainment business. Won't be able to move forward without that. Players who will have to take the vaccine. The reason why they have to take the vaccine because they are part of a £1 million an event, and you know, believe it or not, some insurance companies will not be able to insure these players if they don't take the vaccine. So they're the ones. So it's one of those things where these events have to happen. You know, crowds have to come in, and this is the only way they can guarantee that. And this is government led, and this is by the Premiership. It's arse protection.
So I just want to, Pack, you're saying false positives here, right? And the other question beforehand, they're saying, you know, it's all false and blah, 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 and why are we doing this and why? What I want to know is, right, do you actually know anyone, then personally, that has died from it? And if you have, are you saying that they are false and they're wrong and they didn't die from that? Because personally, I don't know how you can get false positives because, like I said at the beginning of this program, my daughter on Friday has come down with COVID-19. We've took 2 lateral flow tests ourselves that confirmed she was positive. And then we went and took her to the actual place where you got the PCR one that is with the government one, which confirmed it too. So that's 3 positives, right? So now I'm self-isolating. I've been double jabbed. My wife's been double jabbed. My kids, my 2 elder ones have got their first ones. You know, I lost my nan to COVID-19. My wife lost her best friend, dad, with no underlying problems to COVID-19. I know a load of people that's had it in a bad way and things like that. So I don't understand when people say it's false. It's not going to.
I had the symptoms. I had the symptoms after Christmas where I felt like I was hit by a train. I thought I was hit by a train.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. This is why, I mean, so are these people living in their own bubble where no one around them has got it and they think that everyone on Twitter that puts posts on and people like myself and you, Kenny, coming on and saying, you know, that we know people that's done it and died from it and got it and had it and things like that. What, you actually calling us liars or what? I don't understand. This is what I mean. I don't care if you don't take it. If you don't take it, I don't care if you don't take it. But what I'm saying is just don't moan when it comes down to it. If you can't get into a nightclub, if you can't get into a football stadium, then you can't go on holiday. And if you believe that it's all fake and not real, then what I would like you to do personally is give up your right to have any treatment at a hospital if you do get it and give it to someone that desperately wants it. and believes in it that don't want to get it. That's just my thoughts, Ken.
Well, you've got to realise is that this debate is, for greatest respect to a lot of people. I do understand, that that people have a right to protest. I'm all for it. I'm a lefty, so the left's always been about protest. Nothing wrong with that. But at the moment, the establishment and the government do not for some reason want to publicise these protests. They don't, because they're not. They want. They're not budging on this position.
Yeah. No, exactly. Look, I think we've talked about COVID-19 and passports and that for long enough now.
It was relevant to the conversation because this is a massive elephant, and you're going to see a lot of shows talking about that when it does come in about a situation, and you are going to have heated debates about the validity of the government's guidelines and the Premiership's recommendations, where people are going to say, "Well, hang on, what's going on here?" Because you've got the question is going to be, what about a bloke? What about kids? Bloke might get the double jab, but will his kids have to get it if he wants to take his son or his daughter? So that is something that is going to be debated. This is just a start.
Yeah, no, exactly. The reason why we brought it up and all, not only because obviously they're talking about passports in stadiums, things like that. There possibly could be another lockdown, which will stop fans from going to the stadiums again.
Well, it won't. The things that it won't stop fans from going to the stadium. The lockdown we have would be the equivalent of the lockdowns we had from May up until Euro 2020. I think that will happen. But what will happen, because simple reasons that more and more people will be vaccinated, and who knows, they may be forced to take a booster jab. So it's arse protection for the service, for the entertainment industry, where they do want people to attend, and the only way they can insure these events and get this insurance if people take the jabs. It's the government doing this, it's insurance companies doing this, and it's businesses saying we need to survive. It's a musician who's saying, I need to go on tour and earn money. As a comedian saying, I need to do my comedy circuit. It's a theatre impressionaro wanting to be able to pay his actors and get shows going along. It's them doing it, not us. They're pushing for this because they can't survive the loss of revenue and loss of jobs they've had since March 2020.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're right, mate. Exactly. We've got a super chat here from Jack Ramsey. Thank you, Jack. He said, the back of a paracetamol tablet, but I would imagine he's saying, if you saw potential side effects of that, you'd be scared to take one. But when you've got an headache, you take it. You do.
Right.
You do. And the best example of that, what I will give you, Jack and Ken, is when you go to America, right? When you go to America, you watch TV, you watch the adverts come on, right? They'd have an advert for something like diarrhea, a tablet for that, or something for else. And what they do in that advert is they list all the side effects. Please remember that if you take one of these, the side effects will be back pain, side pain, bum pain, leg pain, ankle pain. You get an headache, you could be sick. And it goes on for, instead of like the actual advert, goes on for about a minute and a half of all the side effects if you take this tablet. But like you just said, Jack, people will take that tablet to take away the pain. It doesn't make sense, mate. It really doesn't. But, like I said, everyone's got their own opinion. I respect everyone's opinion. But, unfortunately, like Kenny said, it's not an if you're going to take it. It's going to be you must take it, because if you don't take it, you won't be able to do a lot of things. It's as simple and easy as that. Isn't it, Ken?
Well, the way the government are doing it, yes, it is. Yes, it is. They're not messing around. They're not messing around. It's not up for debate. They have their own stakeholders and they're putting pressure on it. And the government's all right. It's got to be that way.
No, exactly. Listen, Ken, we've been going for an hour and 45 minutes now, nearly. I've took up enough of your time. Like I said, everyone, I'm gonna be doing it all every night all this week because I ain't working myself. I'm actually in isolation, even though I've had the double jab. You know what I mean? But my daughter's come down with it, who can't get jabbed, unfortunately. So I'm isolating. So I'll be doing it every single night. Henny, if you're available, you're more than welcome to join me, mate. It's not a problem.
Yeah, if I'm not available, I'm sure I'll watch you from afar.
You'll have something to say the next night. I know you will. You'll be messaging me saying, "Terry, get me on." That's not right.
Well, Terry, I've got to let you have your head, and I've got to let you loose because simple reasons that I'm not going to change your opinion. You have to, you're not going to say the things I'm going to like. But bottom line is that you have to express yourself. You've now got a platform. Speak.
Yeah. No, exactly. And like we always say, Ken, we may have our arguments, we may not disagree and agree sometimes, but at the end of the day, come the Saturday when we're at home and playing a team, we will meet up, we will go down the pub and we'll have a right laugh, mate.
Definitely. But the most important thing is winning. It's only winning that's important.
Of course it is. Otherwise, you're going to annihilate me when we come back on here, mate.
Definitely.
But no, listen, Ken, really enjoyed tonight, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. I want to say thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you for coming over and listening to us. We really appreciate it. Like I said, I'll be back here every single night, more or less at the same time, 10:30. Maybe some earlier ones if Diesel is available next week. Hopefully he will be. But until then, guys, stay safe and we'll see you soon. Arteta in.